According to the given information and also explanations, I want to delete this floor. Watch this. Then I open the structural level. Firstly, um, I select floor, structural, but note that the sketching mode is the same in architectural and structural floors. Here, as you can see, we got three types of drawings, boundary lines, that you can sketch lines to define the boundaries of the floor, which is our default option that you can select the drawing modes, line, rectangle. Right now, I can draw it by a row line or picking the rectangle, or if we got already a wall, we can use pick line, or if we got already some beams or structural framings, we can use pick supports to sketch line based on existing beams. Suppose that we got some structural framing, concrete beams or steel beams by this way. Then I set it to fine level of detail. Then if I want to add the slab, I can use structural floor and then pick support. Then I can click on the beams to add lines based on these. Then we'll create the slab. But if we have walls, again we can use pick wall and then clicking on walls to sketch lines. But in clicking lines and clicking on walls, as you remember when we wanted to talk about walls, here in edit assembly or the layers of the walls, here we had one important rule that we have to put it into consideration all the time, is that we have to set the curve boundaries at the both sides of the structural layers, as you can see. However, here we got a brickwork wall and we got the core boundaries at the both sides, interior and exterior. But if I change the type in which we got finished layers and structural layers both, like this one, I set this to 200. Watch this. The exterior finish and the interior finish sides, and also the core boundaries. Watch this. We got the core boundary at the both sides of the structure layer. Note that here, if I select the structural floor and then I click on pick walls or by default, then if we want to click on the walls, the line will be created or will be sketched based on the core boundaries. I mean, if we click on the walls, the line will be created on the core boundaries. Watch this. Interior core boundary and exterior core boundary. So the explained rule is going to be considered in the continuation as well. So guys, note that I'm just sharing my 15 years of experience of working with Revit. So all of these are important to know. Don't forget to take notes or just watch the videos, watch the chapters for more than one time if it was needed, since some of the techniques, some of the tricks are going to move you ahead in your jobs and also in your projects. So, it is essential to know this point while you are creating the walls and also creating the slabs. Don't forget to consider the edit assembly of the walls. Note that if you use this option and then you draw the line on the cores, here we got an option named extend into wall. If we uncheck this, then we'll have the line on the finishing layers. I mean, if I delete this, watch this, again I click, I uncheck, let me try again, watch this, extend into wall. As you can see, we got it on the finishing layer, but if I enable it, watch this, select, check and uncheck, just see the differences. So if we uncheck it, the line will be aligned with the finishing layer, and it is checked by default anyway. Again, I want to use mesh properties to transfer the properties. Again, I select slab, structural floor, pick one. We talked about extending to wall, and if we specify the offset as we talked about it before in other tools, we can consider an distance between the where we click and also where the line is going to be sketched. Watch this. If I delete them again. But note that if you are dealing with a closed wall, a closed region, you don't have to click on every wall. You just need to hold down the cursor of the mouse on one of the walls and then press down tab. Then all of the joined walls will be selected at the same time. And as you can see here, we got the span direction that has been created on the first wall or on the first sketch, which specifies a boundary line of the structural floor to which metal decks will run parallel. But circles do not have a span direction. And if you wanted to change the span direction, you can click on it and then pick line and then click on the line or make it parallel with other lines. Watch this, or none of them. Let me pick line and then draw a slanted line. Watch this as a span direction. Span direction specifies the direction of the reinforcement that is used for structural disciplines. And then I can just move it to its default segment. And by using a slope arrow, we can slope it. That we'll talk about it later. In closed geometries that we do not have intersection between lines, we can add a slope arrow. Otherwise, if we have intersections or an enclosed shape or geometry, we do not have access to slope arrow. And also we can select the type of the floor like generic 300 millimeters and then finish. Watch this, it is done. And I can select this symbol and then I delete it, which is for structural discipline, but whenever it was needed, again I can open annotate tab, span direction, I select it. Then we specify one-way or two-way slab. After clicking on the slab, the symbol will be appeared. And the next point here is, however, about a span direction. Let me add it again and add another point. Cancel. Watch the directions. As you can see, it is placed based on a span direction. I mean, if I click on a span direction and then I add it at the center, as you can see, the symbol is changed. Or a line perpendicular. Watch this. If I again edit this slab, watch this, it is straight. So the symbol is placed based on the span direction. However, we can replace it yourself by this way. And after creating the floor, we can select the floor and edit the boundaries whenever it is needed and then edit it. And if we select each of these sketches, we'll have some options in option bar and instance properties that we'll talk about them in the next video, that all of them are interesting and useful. And maybe it is the first time that you see these sketches have instance properties as well.